Hi, hello, welcome to or back to my channel. I am finally back. I think it's been like a month. Let's just say July just wasn't the month for me. I feel like I'm a broken record because I say this on my channel so much. But if you're new here, I want you to know like these issues because I'm not always the most frequent on this channel. And that is because I have very, very severe eczema. Right now it's not at its worst, like I've got a couple scabs here and there, but in July I had some of the worst flare-ups in the world, and it truly bashed me mentally and bashed me physically. Like I just really wasn't doing much because I just felt so ill. I didn't finish a single book in July. This was going to be my June and July wrap up. But I guess July is just going to be 0 books because I literally didn't finish a single book. I was reading the same book throughout the whole month. I just couldn't sit down and read because I was too mentally frustrated with my eczema and physically drained. So yeah, but I'm going to do my June wrap up and talk to you about all the books I did read in June. And this month, in August, I've already read 2 books, so it's going way better. And I'm finally back into things. I just hope that my eczema decides to stay away for a little bit because it stops me from enjoying things and being able to do my hobbies, which is this. So yeah, well, as you can see, that did not happen. I ended up having a flare a couple of days later after I filmed this, so that's why I haven't uploaded this till now. I actually filmed this at the start of August. It's now the end of August and this probably won't be up till the start of September. Oh, I'm so sick of it, and I haven't read another book. I'm currently in the middle of Reckless though by Elsie Silver, which I'm absolutely loving. So yeah, hopefully I can finish that before the end of the month. But there probably won't be a wrap up in August because I've only read 2 books and hopefully a 3rd one. So my next one will be at the end of September, hopefully. But yeah, I really hope I can go on these tablets soon to get rid of this. There's like so many complications, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, I just can't go on them yet. It's so frustrating, honestly. But please bear with me, and to everyone that's stuck around and is watching this video, I really appreciate you, and thank you for watching. Sorry for the long intro, but yeah. I'm rambling now. Let's get into the June wrap up. Oh, and also another change is I have braces, which I hate them so much, but I've got to get used to them. I am kind of used to them now, but I don't like the way I look with them, but I'm going to have to get used to it because I'm going to have them on for 2 to 3 years. But yeah, if I look weird or talk weird, I feel like I'm talking normal, but just ignore it if I'm not. But yeah, let's get into the books I read in June. The first book I read in June was Powerful by Lauren Roberts. It honestly feels like I read these books so long ago. The 3rd book in the series has literally came out now and I can't wait to read it. I'm waiting till September when it's a bit more like fantasy vibes. But anyway, Powerful. This was such a good little novella. I loved it so much. And to say it was a novella and it was only like 220 pages, it had so much depth and it really kept me hooked, and I really enjoyed it. Sometimes with novellas you don't always get connected, but I think with this one, because we'd already met the main character in here in the 1st book, you feel so much emotional attachment to her, at least I did anyway. So getting to read her story I really enjoyed, and I'm glad we got a story about Adina. Adina truly has my heart and I love her so much. She deserved better, let me just say that. And I also loved the romance in here. Like, even though it was short but sweet, it was really cute, and I feel like they had such a good connection. Definitely prepare yourself for a romance that's gonna literally punch you straight in the heart. Like, this romance it made me sob. Like, it was so sad, like, and you knew it were coming, like you knew the ending were coming, but I just had hope. I was hoping that it was gonna have like, if you know, you know, like I was hoping it wasn't going to end that way, but it was obvious from the 1st book. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil this book, but it's about Adina from the 1st book, who is Payden's best friend, who went into the trials in the 1st book, and it's about her story, like, well, everything was going on in the 1st book. It's about what Adina were doing behind the scenes and like her life and how she ended up where she was. It's very good, and there's also a little romance between her and someone else. I feel like they had such good chemistry. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed them, and I love the fact that we got more in depth with Adina's personality. Like, in the 1st book she was quite shy and quiet but really bubbly and sweet, and she's still that in here, but we get more of a fierce side to her as well. And yeah, I really liked this. I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, if this was like 300 pages, it probably would have been a 5-star, but with it being such a short book, you don't get as many details that you would with like a longer story. But I think to say that Lauren Roberts knew she was only writing a short story, she did an incredible job at still making it super intense, super in-depth, and still having you connected to the characters. I think her writing is truly so beautiful. Next book. This was, I think, my favourite of the month. Yeah, it definitely was. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, which this was my favourite book of the month. There's the bookmarks in here. Roman and Iris truly have my heart. I think they have such a beautiful connection, like one of the most beautiful romances I've ever read. If you haven't read the first book, I'm not going to say what this one's about, because obviously, second in the series, I do not want to spoil things for you. But the first one is about these two people, the two people on the front cover, Roman and Iris. They work in the Gazette, I think it's called, where they write like newspaper articles, I think. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, they write like papers and stuff. They're up for the same job, so they're like competing to get this job promotion. And they are rivals as well. They both have magical typewriters. Iris sadly has not spoke to her brother in a long time because he went to war, which is the war in this world. And she starts writing up these letters to her brother and leaving them under a wardrobe, and then they just disappear. Little does she know these letters are ending up in the hands of Roman, which... The letters, I love the fact that we still got the letters in here. They're like one of the best things about this series. It's what makes these books so like romantic and sweet. It's honestly you just, I feel like I'm saying like sweet and stuff, but you just need to read it to understand how incredible this journey of these two characters is. Like, it's next level. A lot of people are disappointed by this, but I still gave it 5 stars. I honestly think it was such a good sequel. I went into it knowing we wasn't going to get as much of the romance. We still definitely did get it, but it was like more about the war in here, which I actually was super glad about, because I feel like because we got the romance in the first book and we got these two connecting and we built that connection up to the characters in this book, while the war was happening and they were separated, it added so much angst and tension to the story and made you more like wanting to read and continue the book, and made you more connected to them, made you want to find out what was going to happen. Like, I truly feel like this wouldn't have hit in the same way if we didn't have the first book. And I'm glad that Rebecca Ross did it in the way where she allowed us to build a relationship with these characters in the first book and then brought in the more tense sides of this world. I feel like that was such an interesting and good way of doing it, because I definitely think this wouldn't have hit the same way. This was such an emotional roller coaster. It truly felt like I was literally gripping the pages like, because I just wanted these two to be happy and to have a happy ending. And honestly, the politics in here and the world I think is so interesting with the gods. Like, it's so fascinating. Yeah, definitely read this one. Next up, we have One Last Shot by Betty K.O. This one breaks my heart to look at because it's honestly one of the most beautiful editions I have. It is gorgeous. Like, I love the hardcover so much. I'm not gonna put this up to sell because I just love this edition so much. I actually did put it up to sell because I feel like I didn't enjoy it enough to keep this edition, and I'd rather it go to someone that actually really loved this book. I don't want to be one of those people that's stealing like an edition from someone that absolutely adores this book, because I know there's someone out there that probably absolutely loves this story, loves this book. So if you want this edition, I will link it below. It is on my Vinted. I've got quite a few books on my Vinted if you're interested. But yeah, this one is about two childhood best friends slash lovers, I guess you could say. They had a really deep connection when they were younger, but they ended up losing touch. They don't see each other for years. Emerson gets a notification on her phone about the pact that these two made when they were younger, when they were teenagers, about that they were going to marry each other at a certain age, I think. And she starts to think about Theo and the relationship they had and decides she wants to rekindle their relationship. So she gets in touch with her grumpy agent. We don't like the agent, by the way. She gets in touch with the grumpy agent and convinces him to allow her to be on a shoot where Theo is the photographer, so they're gonna be able to spend some time together. Honestly, I remember like certain parts of this book, but it's very blurry to me now. It was cute, it was fun, it was a nice time. The reason why it was a lower rating for me, still a decent rating, like it's not the worst in the world, is because the miscommunication in here is absolutely so frustrating. Like, there's so much miscommunication. It's kind of understandable for the characters, but it got to a point where it was like, how much miscommunication are we gonna have? Like, it was nearly every page. I felt like this whole book was just miscommunication. Like, that is the best word to describe this book. And it just got annoying, and I got frustrated, and it made me lose interest in the story, because how many times do you need to miscommunicate to realise you need to communicate? You know, it's just unrealistic. But one thing I absolutely adored about this book was the setting. I think the setting is incredible. I think the cute little dates that they went on, which is here in the back, was one of the best scenes. I feel like that was cut short. I would have liked more in that scene. The photo shoots were fun and cute and added a lot of tension, but I just wish the miscommunication wasn't in it as much. I feel like we wouldn't have a book if there wasn't miscommunication every 10 pages. I would recommend this though if you want a summer romance, because it's literally summer to a T. It's such a good summery book. But yeah, and it's set in Italy, which is just beautiful. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This book really surprised me because everyone says it's like the worst sequel in the world, it's boring, la 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 la. It's not boring, it's just that we get to see these two characters that have been through it finally be happy, which I really wanted, and I'm really glad we got this book. But It Ends With Us, if you don't know, is about Lily Bloom, who has had a very, very hard childhood. She ends up meeting Atlas when she was younger, and they bloom a really, really beautiful relationship. It's honestly such a unique story, I feel like it's so interesting, and these two really bond because they have similar issues of like what they've been through, and they've been through things so they can understand each other in a way that other people can't understand them. Because they were so young, it was just so, I don't know, like emotional to read. I loved it so much. I loved the romance in the first book, but it's a lot more than just the romance. The romance isn't even like the main factor of the story. The main factor of the story is about Lily Bloom and her journey with Ryle, who is not the best man in the world. They have a very tumultuous relationship. It starts off really good, but it starts to go downhill very quickly. This one's more about Lily and Atlas and the aftermath of everything that happened in the first book. I'm actually so happy that Colleen decided to write this sequel, because after finishing the first book and the way it ended, I just wish we got more of Lily and Atlas, and I wish we got to see them happy. I need clarity, I need reassurance, and I need confirmation, which Colleen defo gave us in there. This was beautiful. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but I absolutely adored this book. I was just so happy to see these two characters get what they deserved. Did I even say what I rated this one? I rated this one a 4-star as well. Oh, and shockingly with this one, I actually kind of liked this one more than the first one. But yeah, I feel like that's a very unpopular opinion. But I feel like you can't beat the first book in that series just because it's such a different kind of story. I'm getting sick of talking. This is the only thing with these videos. I feel like I get so sick of my voice. Next book we have is Heartless by Elsie Silver. I'm going to end up losing my bookmarks. I've found 2 in this video. Anyway, this one was the second book in the Chestnut Springs series, but they are standalones in like an interconnected series. Still though, read them in order. That's what I'd recommend anyway from reading the first 2 books. But I ended up giving this one a 4-star. Surprisingly didn't love it as much as the first book. I think Flawless was just such a like different story for me because I'd never read a cowboy romance, so I just loved that book so much. But this one was still incredible, and yeah. But honestly, even though I've rated it 4-star, I don't remember much. I feel like I have a problem. Like I read books and I remember certain scenes, but it's so hard for me to explain what they're about because I forget things so easily. That's just my brain, my goldfish minuscule brain. I forget things so easily. But I more remember how books make me feel. This one definitely made me feel very happy. This is about Cade Eaton, who is the brother of the guy in the first book, and his relationship with the best friend of the girl in the first book. She becomes his nanny, so it's kind of like forced proximity. She's like building a super sweet relationship with his kid, which is such a good element of this story. Guys, honestly, the kid in this, like, I never thought I'd be a girly that would love kids in books, because I I don't even know if I want kids in the future. So the fact that I love them in books, it's very shocking to me. I feel like it's only a certain few authors who can do it for me where I'll enjoy it. And this, Elsie Silver's definitely one of them. I feel like the kid added so much to this story. It made the connection between Kid and Willow so much better because you watched him fall in love with her and fall in love with the way she was looking after his son. And that's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just so, I feel like I'm so bad at explaining things, but it's such a beautiful experience. Like, it just makes your heart melt. And Kid really just, the way he looks at, like, thinks about Willow. Oh, it's just the best. And I just loved Willow and her kind-heartedness and also her fierceness. Like, she's so sassy, unbelievably sassy as well. There's a certain scene in here where Willow really made me laugh. Just the way she protects Kate's son. It's just, it's so good, and she made me laugh so much. Like, she was such a funny female main character, and I had such a good time with this one. But honestly, as I said, I don't remember much. I remember there being a lot of scenes that made me like giggle, and I was very excited. There were a scene where they were in like loads of hay bales. Just stop. And the scenes where they're all like a little family together. Oh, it's just so adorable. It's so wholesome. Like, even just imagine it in my head, I can feel it all again. This is what I mean. I just remember like certain scenes and how they made me feel, but I don't remember like the whole story, you know. But just know I really enjoyed this, and I would really recommend it. Didn't enjoy it as much as the first one though. I think Rhett Eaton is unbeatable, and Summer, I loved Summer, but I did definitely enjoy these characters a lot, and I cannot wait to continue this series. Considering I wanted to make progress in July in the series, but I didn't because I didn't read any books. Hopefully I'll make progress in August. I might actually read the next book after I finish the book I'm reading right now. Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. Everyone seems to enjoy the first book in the series. I did not enjoy it, but it wasn't a favourite for me. I only gave it 3 stars, whereas this one I gave 4 stars. I think the reason why I enjoyed this one more is because in the first one it's a lot more physical based, and I feel like this one is a lot more friendship based, which I think the best way to build a beautiful relationship is through friendship. Like, you want the person you're with to be your best friend, and it really felt like these two were such good, true, like, best friends in this book, and they really felt like soulmates. I don't know, you could really feel it through the pages. Anyway, Hook, Line and Sinker. This is about Fox Thornton, he is known as like the village playboy. Like, everyone knows him as a playboy. They know he's very slutty, you know, and he sleeps with a lot of women. Is this just a image he's putting up? Is it actually the real him? Absolutely not. And Hannah actually breaks those walls down for him, and I think that was so beautiful as well. Hannah is the sister of the first girl in the first book. I always enjoyed Hannah more, and I always knew I was gonna enjoy her book more. She knows that Fox is a ladies' man, so she's like, we are just friends, we are just friends. You hear that so many times in this book, we are just friends, and I'm like, no you're not. No, you're absolutely not. But yeah, they're supposedly just friends, and she's actually got a hopeless crush on her colleague. Fox is just a person to help with her lackluster love life, armed with a few tips from Westport's resident Casanova. Hannah sets out to catch her co-worker's eye, yet the more time she spends with Fox, the more she wants him instead. And seeing that change throughout the book is just so exciting. And as I said when I started talking about this book, these two, I feel like it was such a good build up to them actually being together. Like, I really liked the fact that we got such a in-depth friendship first. I always thought friends to lovers is probably a boring trope, but after reading this I feel like it is such a good trope, and it's so realistic to real life as well, because it's always good to build a friendship first. Seeing like Hannah break down Fox's wall and realise that he's not just this facade he's making up, that he's a playboy. There's a lot more to him than that. One thing I really enjoyed in this book is that Hannah got Fox into music, and how they shared that love was adorable. Again, they just shared things together. It was so sweet. There's a little surprise that he does for her in here, and I was swooning. Like, honestly, the way he listens to her as well, it's just unmatched. I loved how Hannah got to know Fox and see he was more than the stereotypes people placed on him. There was a couple cringe parts, which you can kind of expect with Tessa Bailey, but it didn't bother me too much, because overall I really enjoyed this book / shop. book/story, the epilogue so sweet, and I put crying faces. Yeah, I did really like this one. Lastly, this book I was reading throughout the whole of July. I don't know why. You'll be shocked when I show it. You'll be like, Courtney, you should have finished that in like 2-3 days, because it's such a good book. It's just that I were in a slump because of my health, and it's nothing on the book. This could have even potentially been a 5-star if it didn't take me a whole month to read. And I didn't actually fully finish it in July. I finished the last 100 pages at the start of August. But I'm going to put it in this wrap up for July, because I feel like I read most of it in July. So that is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which I cannot believe this took me over a month to read. This book is like been through it. I need to like clean the front of it as well. It's very damaged. The front isn't though. It's because I was reading it outside a lot and I feel like I was just chucking it everywhere. But yeah, I am so sad about this. Like, I'm actually ashamed to admit that it took me over a month to read an Emily Henry book, of all people, because I love Emily Henry. She's not like an all-time favourite like some people are die-hard Emily Henry fans. I just really love her. This story was really good and I gave it 4 stars even though it took me so long to read. It wasn't the book. It was still such a good book. I was just struggling. I just read this when I got the chance, and it was frustrating me, like every time I put it down, and then I didn't read another page for like a week. It was so annoying. I feel like I should definitely reread this in the future when I'm in a better place, maybe next year. But this one is about Nora and Charlie. Nora is a literary, I can never say that word properly. Nora is a literary agent. She's like top of the game. I'm reading the back so it's easier than me trying to explain it. And we have Charlie, who is an editor. They are work nemesis. They are work nemesis. That doesn't sound right. They're work rivals. I'm going to say that. They are work rivals. Those two are work rivals, and Nora has been in a lot of relationships and it's never gone well for her. She's been very, very unlucky in love, let's just say that. Her sister actually manages to persuade her to go on a month holiday to get away from the city, because that's all Nora knows. Her whole life is her work. Like, her whole life is just work, work, work. And her sister wants to get her away from that. So they decide to go to a small little village called Sunshine Falls. It's a small town and it's actually out of a romance novel that her sister loves. Her sister ends up making like a list of things they need to do while they are here. Super silly little things that you'd probably find in a small town romance. And they have to do all these things while they're there, and they only have a month to complete this like bucket list, I guess you could call. When she arrives, she ends up bumping into Charlie. Of all people, she was not expecting to find Charlie in this small town. It doesn't give too much away on the back, so I'm not going to give too much away either. But I think with this book, it isn't, as always expected with Emily Henry, it's not just a romance book. There's a lot more to it. I think one thing I actually really loved about this book is the building of the relationship between Nora and her sister, and then finally rebuilding that connection with each other, because they had drifted so much because Nora was so focused on her work. Nora, throughout this book, really starts to build self-awareness about herself and realise why things have drifted so much between her and her sister. This took me so long to read. I'm just struggling. I'm struggling to talk about it. Because I forgot like a lot of parts, but yeah. And as well, the romance in here, I felt like it wasn't like that usual romance you get in a book where it's like head over heels, like, I don't know how to explain. It's not super intense like a lot of romance books in. I felt like the romance in here was like a quiet romance. Like, it was very slow, it was very tender, and it was very quiet. I feel like that's the best way to explain it. Like, it didn't have me like gushing and like, so excited, but I did still really like the romance in here. But that may also be because it took me so long to read. I put it down, like I was constantly thinking about the book, like where it ended off. I was like, oh my god, I want to read more of it because I want to see Nora and Charlie together, I want to see Nora and her sister together, I want to be in Sunshine Falls again, but I just couldn't. That is all the books I read in June and July / a little bit of August, with the last book. Hopefully I can get back on track with this channel, film more, be more frequent, fingers crossed. I honestly can't wait to go on tablets for my eczema, but that's going to be a while yet, so just got to deal for now and just hope that I can keep it at bay and keep it maintained. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know some books you read in July, I guess, because it's way far ahead from June now. You can also let me know what you read in June as well. Let me know your favourite book at the moment, or a book you're reading. Comment anything, I love to hear from you guys. But yeah, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.